You're not supposed to be watching this, not yet. Not now. No one was meant to see it, but here you are, caught in the flicker of a screen, staring down at something no one in the world dared to reveal, something so deeply buried beneath layers of silence and ice. A secret so chilling it's been locked away in the coldest places of human knowledge. You might think you've stumbled on just another story, a strange anomaly, an obscure research mission lost in space. But it's so much worse than that. It's personal. It's waiting. And once you know, once you listen, there's no turning back. Have you ever felt the kind of cold that steals the air from your lungs, that doesn't just freeze your body but freezes the very marrow of your soul? Europa's ice isn't just waterlocked solid in a planet far beyond Earth. It's a tomb, a vault of whispers and broken promises, and the question no one has dared to ask, the question you didn't even know you were asking, is this: what happens when you cross the boundary between life and the eternal cold beneath Europa's surface? They say no one escapes alive from Europa. The scientists, the explorers, the lost crews, all gone without a trace. Not lost in the vastness of space, not crushed by equipment failure or cosmic radiation, but swallowed whole by something waiting patiently in the ice. Something with no name, no face. Something that breathes without breath, watches without eyes, and waits without time. I know what you're thinking. This sounds like fiction. Paranoia, sci-fi horror made real. But I'm here to tell you this isn't a story. It's a warning. And it's been hiding in plain sight all along. You probably don't remember, but there was a transmission, one so brief it almost didn't register, a faint whisper buried inside a routine status update. From the Europa probe, the words were barely audible, scrambled beneath layers of static and code, and yet they hold the key to everything. A single voice, a single phrase, spoken in a breathless whisper before the signal was lost forever. The ice is alive. It knows us. Those words, that whisper. Nobody else heard it. Everyone who listened dismissed it as a glitch, a hallucination born of cosmic interference. But if you dig deep enough, if you listen closely, you'll hear it. Because that whisper was a cry, a warning, a final confession from someone who vanished without a trace, swallowed by the ice just beyond our reach. It's not just the cold that kills, it's the silence afterward, the way the ice holds on to secrets like a lover clutching a cruel betrayal, the way it erases those who come too close as if they never existed at all. And now, here you are, holding a file you were never supposed to see, feeling that icy grip tighten around your mind, your heart, your very breath. You're about to cross the threshold. There's no going back after this, because the truth buried beneath Europa's frozen crust isn't just a scientific anomaly. It's a nightmare staring back at us from the edge of existence. The story begins years ago, in a dimly lit control room buried beneath layers of rock and secrecy, where a small team of scientists gathered around flickering monitors. They were the best of us, brilliant minds dedicated to unlocking the mysteries of our solar system. But what they found beneath Europa's ice shattered their understanding of life itself. One of them, a linguist named Dr. Lena Kessler, was the first to notice the anomaly. It started with a low-frequency hum, barely perceptible, almost drowned out by the probe's systems. But when she amplified the signal, a voice emerged, not human, not quite. A sound that defied language but carried a terrible, aching familiarity. Days later, Lena vanished. No distress call, no last words, just a faint echo of her voice whispering. Through the communications channel, do you see it? The ice remembers. Her disappearance was written off as an accident. Equipment malfunction, human error, something explainable. But those who knew her best whispered of something else. A terror that reached beyond the physical, beyond reason. And then the babies began to speak strange names no one recognized. Names that echoed through empty rooms long after the children had fallen silent. Old relatives' voices appeared on recorded devices, calling out from the past with urgent, desperate warnings no one could understand. Shadows flickered in peripheral vision, vanishing when looked at directly. The ice, seemed was reaching out, drawing the living into its frozen embrace. You feel it now, don't you? That subtle shift in the air, a flicker at the edge of your perception, as if something unseen is watching you, waiting. Europa's ice isn't just a physical barrier. It's a boundary between worlds. And crossing it means confronting the part of ourselves we never dared to acknowledge, the part that fears oblivion, that craves connection even in the coldest darkness. The last known transmission from the probe contained only 2 words before the silence swallowed everything. I'm here, and then nothing. What does that mean? What could "I'm here" possibly signify coming from a place where no one was supposed to survive? Was it a warning, a declaration, or something far more sinister? You want answers, but answers might be the last thing you ever find, because on Europa, no one escapes alive. Not really. Not from the ice death waiting beneath the surface, and once you've seen this, once you've heard the whisper no one else heard, you're already part of the story. The ice knows you. It's waiting, and soon it will come for you. The words, "I'm here," hung in the void like a death sentence carved into ice. But the moment they vanished, so did the certainty that you had just glimpsed the end of something real. Because what followed wasn't silence, not truly. It was a fracture, a crack in the glass of your understanding, so subtle at first you barely noticed it. But it was there, that splintering between what you know and what you feel, and it begins to twist everything, worming its way beneath your skin. Did you really hear that voice? Or was it a trick played by your mind, scrambling signals into meaning because your desperate heart demanded a story? That fleeting whisper, distorted by static and shadows, what if it wasn't a transmission at all, but a memory? Something you never lived but somehow remember anyway, like a dream you woke from but can't shake? The air grows thick now, heavy with doubt, because somewhere beneath all the facts and data lies a question no one wants to face. What if this truth is a lie your mind told you to survive? And when you search for proof, all you find are fractures, glitches in audio logs that don't align, footage that skips frames like a scratched record, missing minutes in official recordings where entire conversations should be. You ask the SC, people who should know, but their answers come cloaked in nervous half-smiles, eyes darting away, fingers tapping like they're trying to count seconds until they can shut the door on the subject forever. It's the real unsolved mystery, the truth behind what no one tells you, the silence in the gaps between their words. You begin to notice the creeping fog in your own mind. You wake up with shards of memories that don't fit. Faces you recognize but can't place. Conversations you swear happened but vanish when you try to recall them. There's a recording on your phone you don't remember making. A garbled voice repeating something that sounds like a name you can't pronounce, followed by a low, pulsing hum that sets your teeth on edge. What they don't want you to remember might not be buried on some distant ice moon, but inside your own fractured consciousness. That's when Elena shows up. She appears without warning, slipping into your life like a half-forgotten shadow, claiming to know what's really happening. Elena's eyes are tired but sharp, haunted by something she won't say. She speaks with a kind of quiet certainty, weaving stories of experiments, cover-ups, people lost to forces they couldn't control, stories that match the dark corners of your nightmares but always seem just a step out of reach. Is she a savior or a specter? Her presence is both a comfort and a warning, her words peeling back layers of reality and doubt until you can't tell if you're unraveling or if she is. You want to believe her because the alternative is worse, drifting alone in this limbo of fractured memories and unspoken fears. But every time you grasp for her truth, it slips away, tangled in contradictions and blurred lines. Sometimes she laughs, a sound too brittle to be real. Other times she disappears for hours, leaving behind only vague explanations and a scent of something cold, like frost on a window pane. Together, you chase the thread through the darkness, but the deeper you go, the more you question what you're really hunting. Is it the ice death on Europa? Or is it something buried inside you both? A wound too raw to face, a secret too terrible to tell. The line between the supernatural and the mental breakdown blurs until they are indistinguishable, two sides of a mirror shattered by fear and isolation. In these moments, the world feels fragile, like the thin veneer between sanity and oblivion might crack with a whisper, and you'll fall through, swallowed by a cold deeper than ice. The real terror is what's not said, the gaps where silence screams louder than any voice, and the feeling that every step you take just pulls you closer to the edge of a truth no one will ever survive facing. Because sometimes, the most haunting mysteries aren't out there in the stars. They're inside us, waiting for the ice to crack and the silence to break. And that's when you hear it again, soft as a breath, right beside you. You're not alone. You thought you'd found it. The key, the breakthrough that would finally shatter the fog and expose the hidden truth beneath the endless ice and static whispers. It came unexpectedly, in the brittle form of a recovered transmission, salvaged. From fragments of corrupted data no one else could piece together, a message buried so deep it felt like a memory resurfacing, after years of being shoved to the back of your mind, an echo of something you almost remembered but could never quite grasp. The mystery uncovered, or so you hoped, seemed to cradle you in a moment of fragile clarity. A scientist's voice, calm but strained, detailing an experiment that never should have been tried, an experiment on the edge of human comprehension, a breach not just of physical limits, but of mental boundaries. This voice spoke of contact with something beneath the ice, something alive but not alive, something ancient and vast and watching. They named it in a whisper so soft it almost slipped past you, but you caught it, and for a moment, the scattered pieces aligned and the madness felt like truth. But then the detail, just one tiny, almost dismissible detail tucked away in the middle of the transmission. A name, a date, a location that didn't fit. It was from a different time, a different place, a past event long erased from official records, erased so thoroughly that even the people who lived through it acted as if it never happened. You dug into it, desperate for clarity, and found yourself staring down a mirror of the present horror. Only this time the ice wasn't on a distant moon. It was beneath your own feet, in a place you thought you'd left behind. An event cloaked in conspiracy and silence, a slow, creeping disaster that swallowed families whole, and was whispered about only in trembling voices behind locked doors. The familiar unease settled in your gut, the recognition of something you lived through, but can't fully remember, the memory glitch you never allowed yourself to explore until now, until the puzzle pieces began to bleed into each other. That past event, that forgotten disaster, was not a mistake. It was a pattern, a warning ignored. And it whispered to you that what's happening now is no accident. There's something deeper, something watching from the shadows of your mind, from the spaces between recollection and denial, something that has been here all along. It's patient. It's cold. It's more than a ghost or a hallucination. It's a force threaded into your very being, a darkness that feels less like an external threat and more like a wound you carry, an ache that never stops, a presence you can't outrun or silence. You reach for Elena, for answers, but she's slipping through your fingers like smoke. Her stories start to unravel too, revealing cracks that make you wonder if she's a key or just another symptom of the same fracturing reality. And just as you begin to piece together what you think is a conclusion, that single haunting detail emerges, a whispered phrase from the recovered transmission echoing something she said weeks ago, something you forgot she ever mentioned. The phrase doesn't just change the story, it undoes everything. The mystery isn't solved. It was never meant to be solved. It was a carefully constructed lie layered on top of your own fragmented memories, a truth twisted until it fits the OIE. Shape of fear you didn't know you carried. Now you're forced to rewind, to question everything you've heard, seen, and believed so far. The chilling realization settles over you like ice. You're not crazy. They lied to you. Every whisper, every flicker of static, every vanished moment. It's all part of something bigger, something designed to trap you in a loop of doubt and terror. And that watcher, the silent presence, waits patiently as you fall back into the cycle, ready to close the ice around you once more. Watch again. Listen closely, because this time you're not just a witness, you're part of it. And the truth? It's hiding in the spaces you've already seen but never dared to understand. You thought it was just you, that the fracture in your mind, the glitch in reality, was something singular. A personal nightmare born from fractured memories and whispered lies. But you were wrong. The signs have been there all along, scattered like breadcrumbs in the shadowed corners of your waking hours and restless dreams. Others are out there, watching, waiting, trapped in the same invisible web of unanswered questions and silent terror. They don't speak openly. Their voices slip through the static like ghosts, carried on cryptic messages hidden in plain sight. A symbol etched on a street lamp just before dawn, a fleeting figure in a dream that dissolves before you can reach out. A pattern of light flickering in the corner of your eye when no one else is looking. These shared fragments bind you, tethering your reality to theirs, weaving a network of unseen connections that suggests a conspiracy far older and far more insidious than anything you could have imagined. You were right all along to distrust. The ease with which the official stories fell into place, to feel the weight of what the government never released, pressing down like a silent, suffocating shroud. The messages don't come with explanations or reassurances. Instead, they deepen the sense of dread, layering question upon question that erodes your grip on identity itself. What does it mean to remember? To forget? To be certain of your own mind when every recollection is tinged with doubt? Every truth, shadowed by an impossible alternative? The lines between your own thoughts and those implanted from outside begin to blur. You catch yourself wondering if your memories belong to you at all, or if they were handed down, programmed, stolen in the dark. And as you wrestle with these fractures, a third voice emerges, distant yet undeniable. An observer who watches, not just the story unfolding around you, but the very mechanics of your unraveling. This presence, half witness, half prisoner, offers no comfort, no easy answers, only a relentless gaze that feels both accusing and protective. It speaks in riddles, in fragments of found footage from 20 years ago, scenes that replay beneath the surface of your consciousness, faces you've never seen, events that predate your understanding but feel intimately connected to the cold truth lurking beneath it all. This observer is not a savior, but a mirror, reflecting the raw edges of your fear and confusion back at you, urging you to question not only what you see but who you are beneath the layers of deception. The conspiracy is no longer just a secret, kept by distant powers. It has become a force that shapes your very existence, twisting the fabric of memory and control until the self you thought you knew feels like a fragile illusion. Each revelation tightens the coil of dread, pressing against the boundaries of your mind and the world you inhabit, hinting at a larger, darker design that has been watching, waiting, manipulating from the shadows since before you could comprehend. The weight of this hidden presence settles over you like a storm on the horizon, silent, inevitable, charged with energy. You find yourself caught between the desperate need to uncover the whole story and the terrifying possibility that some truths are meant to remain buried beneath the ice, their power too great for any mind to bear. Yet the signs persist, the symbols and dreams and secret signals insisting that the story is far from over. The question no longer is whether you can escape, but whether you can survive the knowledge you're about to reclaim. And as you stand on the edge of that abyss, the observer's final cryptic message lingers in your mind, like a pulse in the dark. They're watching. They always have been. There comes a moment, not marked by fanfare or thunder, but by a silence, so complete it feels holy, when the question is no longer what is real, but what do you need to believe in order to live with yourself? And that's where they find you now, eyes wide, breath shallow, standing not at the edge of the universe but at the broken perimeter of your own soul. It isn't Europa that's frozen. It's you. The truth doesn't come like fire. It comes like ice, slow, creeping, invasive. It fills the cracks inside you that you didn't know were there. You always thought the terror was out there, in the signals and whispers and hidden files. But it was never about the mystery itself. It was about why you needed it to be real. Because if the disappearances were real, if the glitch in the footage meant something, if the shared dreams and the eye symbols and the forgotten names weren't random, then maybe you weren't broken, maybe you were chosen. And maybe all the pain you carried, the lost time, the empty childhood photos, the memory of someone you loved who everyone insists never existed, had a purpose. But now you see the cost of that belief. The observer comes forward not as a stranger, but as someone intimately familiar, someone who speaks with your voice. Not exactly, but enough to make your chest tighten. They show you what you were never meant to remember. The moment you handed over the key, not in fear, in hope. You wanted to forget. You begged them. And when the truth was offered to you the first time, you recoiled. You made this bargain with yourself a long time ago, buried beneath layers of justified paranoia and digital ghosts. I needed to believe I was part of something bigger. You whisper now, the words tasting like confession, like blood. Because the alternative was that I was alone. And that's the real horror, isn't it? Not the files, not the footage. Not the footage you took yourself and don't remember filming. The real horror is how easily you rewrote your own mind to protect your heart. You chose the monster under the bed because it was easier than facing the emptiness of your own reflection. You chose a conspiracy because it felt less cruel than randomness. You dropped the device in your hand. It hits the floor, shattering into a dozen blinking lights, each one a memory, a lie, a possibility. The others are still watching, but they don't speak. They wait. Their eyes are full of the same ache, the hunger to know, and the terror of knowing. And now the final choice isn't about solving anything, it's about accepting. If you accept the truth, it may undo you. Every memory, every motive, every belief you've wrapped your identity around. If you deny it, you can keep living the lie, blissfully blind but emotionally whole. But either way, you're awake now. And there's no going back to sleep. The air is thick with knowing. Somewhere far beneath the surface, beneath Europa, beneath your own consciousness, something waits, not with malice, not with mercy, just with patience. And maybe it's not watching to harm you. Maybe it's just watching to see what you do next, because in the end, the truth doesn't want to be found. It wants to find you. And now it has. Thank you for watching. Don't forget to like, share, and subscribe for stories you were never meant to hear. Until next time, remember, some truths don't want to be found.